Hello, I'm Game Retainer, and in this video I've put together my picks for these 7 most difficult POIs to clear in 7 days to die. I did quite a bit of testing to put this one together, and I've based each entry on the following categories: sheer number of zombies, from a tier 6 infested mission standpoint, ease of navigation, danger hotspots, and escape points. I won't be taking into account cheese tactics for any of these. I'm going in with the mindset of clearing each one by following the natural path. I also just want to point out that all of the top tier POIs are difficult. These are just the ones that I feel are the most challenging. If you disagree with my list, then feel free to drop your picks for your top 7 down below. But with that said, let's jump straight in. At number 7 we have Dishong Tower. Now, I was a little torn between Higashi Pharmaceutical and Dishong Tower for this spot. The reason why I chose Dishong Tower is because I feel this one is a little trickier to navigate. I've spent considerably more time lost inside Dishong Tower than I have inside Higashi Pharmaceutical. Also, unlike Higashi Pharmaceutical, the main loot is somewhat spread out, making some of the containers pretty easy to miss. Dishong Tower also has quite a few open areas inside the building that you need to get across to get to the end. One slip and it's a long fall down to the ground. This is one of those POIs where parkour level 4 can actually get in the way. There are a couple of points where you need to jump through windows from outside, and it's all too easy to bump your head and fall off. It's one of, if not the tallest building in the game, spanning over 13 floors. That's about 80 blocks from the ground floor to the roof. Clearing this building in a day is a challenge. This is a huge building, and you'll need to go through pretty much every room in order to find all the enemies. As mentioned, the main loot is kind of spread out, but you'll find it on the top floor. The main crate is located inside this apartment here, but if you want to get all of the containers, then you'll need to make your way round to the other side of the building to grab them. Moving on, Grover High takes the number 6 slot for me. Now, I'm pretty sure there are going to be a few people out there that feel like this one should rank higher, but hear me out. There are 2 major zombie zones within this POI. The ground floor with the main loot, and the roof. Since the building isn't particularly tall, if you get in trouble on the roof, it's not too difficult to hop down and loot the enemies around the building. The same is true for the main loot room. If you are quick, then you can run into the loot room, press this button here, and head straight out the door. The parking lot outside Grover High is big and open and is great for looping zombies. Don't get me wrong, there are lots and lots of zombies inside this one, but it's very easy to make your way outside if things get too dicey. As a whole, there are a lot of zombies inside this one, but there are also plenty of escape options. Moving on to number 5, we have the Red Mesa Compound. This is a classic POI that's been in the game for a very long time. The majority of this POI is underground, and since it's a military outpost, there are plenty of soldier zombies, and these are considerably tankier than many other zombie types in the game. Also, since a lot of this POI is underground, there aren't really a lot of escape options if things get too much. Dying inside this one is a real pain because retrieving your backpack is much easier said than done. Navigating this one can be quite a challenge. Even though I've cleared this place countless times, quite often I'll get all turned around or miss a pocket of zombies, meaning that I have to make my way back through the POI to look for stragglers when completing missions. For the most part, the zombies are pretty well spread out. There aren't too many areas that have an overwhelming amount of enemies. That said, most of the areas have soldiers, and as mentioned, soldiers are pretty tanky, especially if they're radiated or infernal. It doesn't take more than a handful of these to really give you a hard time. One great thing about the Red Mesa Compound is that when you reach the main loot, you can climb up onto the roof and you'll come right out next to the entrance. At number 4, we have Area 7. This is one of the newer tier 5 POIs, and it's one of my personal favourites. Just like the Red Mesa Compound, most of this POI can be found underground. But there's one zone in particular in Area 7 that makes it quite difficult to clear. And that zone is the Shroom Room. If you follow the path as intended, you'll land in a heap inside a room full of radiated mushrooms and more zombies than is socially acceptable. If you are quick, then you can make your way up the staircase on the other side of that room, but since there isn't a lot of space, you'll get smacked about as you try and make your way across. Also, reaching the top of that staircase triggers even more zombies, so you'll get attacked from both sides. In my opinion, this room is tougher than the main loot room. At least the main loot room has plenty of places that you can run to if things get too much. In the mushroom room, you have very few options. You either have to fight or die, unfortunately. I do like that this one is split into different sections so you can tackle it in small chunks. That said, the mushroom room is a real challenge, especially if it's your first time clearing it. The third most difficult POI, in my opinion, is the Shotgun Messiah Factory. I'm not a fan of this one, but that's only because I find it really difficult to navigate. The main loot is located on the top of these large towers, but getting to it without cheating is pretty tricky. There are quite a few dead ends, plenty of zombie trigger points, and since the zombies now trickle in as opposed to all spawning at once, it feels like a never-ending fight. Once you get inside the main factory, that's where things become tricky in terms of navigation. Most of the interior looks identical, so it's pretty difficult figuring out which path to take. More often than not, I end up running in circles while being chased by everyone and their mothers while I'm trying to find my way to the upper levels. The end of loot area, in my opinion, is one of the easiest ones to clear, but by the time you actually make it up there, you've used a whole heap of ammo, and if you play like I do, you've probably used a lot of meds as well. The second place spot goes to hybrid mining. This one is all sorts of evil. While there is lots of space to run around, the sheer number of zombies makes this one a real challenge. You'll need a lot of ammo to clear this one. There's plenty of sky turds, glowing zombies, and a healthy helping of frost claws that makes this place very challenging. Be prepared for some frame rate drops while clearing hybrid mining, as it's just one constant wave of undead fun. There are also a couple of triggered explosions that are almost guaranteed to bring in screamers. Since most of the POI is outside, it is pretty easy to navigate, but the sheer volume of enemies makes this one a tough one to clear. Before we get to number one, I have a few honourable mentions. First is the Minotaur Theatre. I could be wrong, but in comparison to its size, I think it has the highest concentration of zombies inside. The rooftop can be pretty rough. Also, the main stage has a lot of enemies waiting to jump down and surprise you. The reason why this one's only getting an honourable mention and not a full entry is because it's one of the smallest tier 5 POIs. So while there are lots of enemies, the place itself is relatively small. Also, it's easy to lure zombies outside if things get too much on the inside. The Poppin' Pills factory gets a quick mention. The core loot is located underground. It's pretty maze-like down there, and it's very easy to get overrun by zombies. That said, I don't think it's quite as rough as places like the Shotgun Messiah factory. The next honourable mention goes to Korea Rockworks. The only reason why this one is getting an honourable mention is because of the main loot room. This is by far one of the toughest loot rooms in the game, at least in my opinion. The rest of the POI isn't too bad, but the endless waves of zombies that come from this room are pretty challenging. You'll spend quite a long time just looping them around this central structure, and while you do have some space to move around, it does get pretty crowded in there. The last honourable mention goes to the Dr. Karen Higashi residence. It's a pretty difficult underground area with limited escape options. While it is difficult, the zombies are spread out. With the exception of the main loot room, there aren't many areas with incredibly high concentrations of enemies like there is with the mushroom room inside Area 7. For the number one slot, I have US Army Post 7. This one is tough. Real tough. While it's a pretty easy one to navigate, each area is really hard to clear. It's hard to pick just a couple of key tough zones because there are so many. Arguably, the jump down from the elevator shaft into the cafeteria is one of the more difficult areas. Unless you move fast, it's very easy to get pinned inside the elevator shaft with a bunch of undead friends. Similar to the Red Mesa Compound, since it's a military base, there are lots of soldier zombies. There are also quite a lot of mutated ones and cops. When clearing this one, you'll need to just keep moving. Cops spitting and mutated ones dropping their little pom-pom radiation balls can take you out pretty fast, so you can't stand still for more than a couple of seconds. This one does have one last surprise. Once you clear the final room, you still aren't safe. There's a mini horde of zombies lurking inside a hidden room right next to the main loot. I've cleared this one lots of times, and even though I know this place pretty well, I still find clearing it to be very challenging. I know that the main loot is relatively easy to get to if you want to cheese it, but as I said at the start, I'm not taking that into account. So thank you very much for watching, I really appreciate it. Feel free to share what you think are the most dangerous POIs in the game in the comment section below. I do currently have a giveaway going for the Marauder set. If you do want to take part, head to the video in the pinned comment and just comment join. Thanks again for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one.